Welcome back to Podcast Recovery. We are your hosts, David O.
And Eric B.
And today we are doing part 5 of the 32 Principles of Recovery. We are going through this entire book and reading out all the principles and, giving them our little personal grade, but we're not downgrading it for anybody who's interested. It was sent to us by one of our readers. Watch all our other episodes and you'll catch up. Maybe you don't need the book. You can just watch our video. Mm-hmm. So we are up to we're doing four principles. We're breaking it up into 8 parts. So 4 principles per episode. We are on 5 now. So we are up to principle 17 and we are going into this blind. I've never gone into this before. So we're working through it together. All right. Principle 17 out of 32. There is a quote unquote, reverse cycle to addiction. That's the whole principle.
What?
I don't know.
Read more, David.
I'm going to read, again, it's nice and succinct, so let's see how this goes. For most, addiction means as a way of escape from being overwhelmed with problems. I talked about this earlier in one of our previous episodes. Watch it. But at some point, a reverse cycle kicks in, and now the problems are being caused by the drinking or drug use. Okay. They don't notice the gradual change in this cycle, although it is quite visible to loved ones looking on as you deteriorate. Dysfunction becomes, quote unquote, the norm and chaos becomes familiar. It may be difficult to believe, but some people actually get comfortable with misery and even cling to it.
No way.
This is a very valid point. It is well written. I don't understand how it's a principle of recovery, though.
So wait, what was the principle again?
I don't know. This is just a fact.
Is this just about people who...
This is just stating just what happens.
Well, it's about people who pity themselves? Is that what I'm hearing?
No. It's just like I was talking about earlier, how drugs saved my life. So addiction begins as a way to escape from being overwhelmed with problems. Mm-hmm. It's a coping mechanism. But at some point, a reverse cycle kicks in, and now the problems are being caused by the drinking and drug use.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it goes from quote unquote a solution to then being a root of the problem.
Yes.
This is all factual, totally. Why is it in this book? Why is this? This is not a principle of recovery.
Can you read the actual principle again for me?
The principle is literally just in bold print. There is a reverse cycle to addiction.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go no.
I'm giving it a mid because everything it's all factual. That's all. That is all. It's true, and. They don't notice the gradual change in this cycle, although it is quite visible to the loved ones as you watch them deteriorate. It's just facts.
Yeah. He's
stating facts, but there's no principle. This is just oh yeah, you're right. The drugs did become the problem eventually.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a realization there.
It's a no for me.
It's a full thumbs down?
It's a full thumbs.
Full thumbs down. I'm going to go mid because it is good. It's well written. I understand.
I can't get past the first part. I'm just like...
I don't see there's no, this is the title of the book is Principles for Recovery. There's no principle and this has nothing to do with recovery.
Yeah.
It's a realization you should have. Sure. What I once used as a coping mechanism is no longer a coping mechanism and it's actually causing my problems.
Yeah.
Duh. There's no principle there.
No.
There's no print, so yeah, I'm gonna go with you. Yeah, two thumbs down on principle 17.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand what he's going for there. It's very well written. It's very short. Boop. It's just a paragraph. It's a very well written paragraph. Makes a lot of sense. All factual stuff. No principle.
Yeah. No
principle, no recovery. Sorry, you failed on that one. Moving forward, principle 18. Man, we're knocking these out. Okay. All right. I like this. There is a difference between giving up and surrendering.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep. Giving up means that you have completely stopped caring. Surrendering means that you finally care enough to abandon your will and yield unconditionally to a competent authority. Ooh, okay.
Don't like that.
No, he goes.
Don't like that.
There's some sort of World War II reference coming up here.
Okay.
I want to see where this goes.
Okay.
As in war, quote unquote, unconditional surrender means to completely yield to another authority. Fact.
Sure.
The best example I can think of took place at the end of World War II. Without debating the morals of the war and its devastating effects, on September 2nd, 1945, day before my birthday, Japan signed a document that constituted unconditional surrender. Unconditional surrender. That was a fantastic FDR impersonation, everybody. You're welcome. Involved everything from their form of government to their military. Following their surrender,
Wasn't FDR dead?
FDR is very dead.
No. During that part.
No. But when he said that after D-Day, or Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
We will not stop until the Japanese unconditionally surrender.
But I thought he was dead by the time they surrendered. Yeah, because Truman's
it was
the one
true.
who
It was
dropped
Truman by
the
that
bombs.
point.
Yeah.
I actually met a man who actually had a card. He was at Pearl Harbor, and then he was on the USS Missouri when they signed the Japanese surrender. And he had a laminated card signed by a Harry S. Truman.
So he's dead now.
I met him probably 10 or 15 years ago, so he's probably dead now. But that was a remarkable human being, and it's
dude,
fantastic.
I mean, the movie was trash, but
Pearl Harbor's trash. Pearl Harbor sucks. Sorry, Ben Affleck. Yeah, and then he just
wasn't Ben Affleck's part.
Then he keeps going with the whole World War II thing. Following their surrender, the U.S. spent $22 billion between 1946 and 52 to help rebuild Japan. Their nation's
better spend money to help build Japan.
He's still going into this World War II thing. During that time, their nation's resilience, coupled with the financial help during the help received during that time, produced one of the strongest economies in the world. Today, Japan is one of the world's largest economies.
Wait, so where did we start? Can we go back to where we started?
The difference between giving up and surrender. Much like in this example, your resilience after surrendering unconditionally, coupled with your resources provided to you by your... Okay.
I'll give him a thumbs up, actually.
Provided to your support by will establish a lasting foundation of recovery.
Terrible.
Okay, there's terribly...
Terrible reference, but I get it.
He went totally around the horn.
Very dark.
Very dark.
I mean, essentially what he's saying is like, you know what? If we didn't drop those bombs on Japan, they would have never made it to be one of the best
if you do not Hiroshima and Nagasaki your fucking way of life, you are never gonna fucking truly...
I think that's what you need to say. So next time, David...
I'm gonna Hiroshima myself.
Yeah, next time you get a sponsee, you're like, have you gone through Hiroshima?
Are you willing to Nagasaki your previous self? And it's like, what? Are you? That is, you gotta fold 1,000 paper cranes in order to get where you need to go.
You know what though?
That's a dark story.
Props to this guy for being the one guy who went there. For that
he went there. He swung hard.
I get it. I do get it. It's awful.
Yeah. So you need resilience and the means to rebuild yourself.
And a hydrogen bomb.
And a hydrogen and an atomic bomb. Those are two different bombs. One was like a fusion bomb. The other one was
bigger,
one was a fission bomb.
Right?
Yeah, one was breaking atoms, and the other one was like
splitting atoms.
No, the one was splitting atoms, and the other one was fusing them together. Ugh. Yeah. So fission is breaking apart, I believe. Fusion is bringing them together.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Fission. And I think, any rocket scientists that have a drug problem listening to this, please, feel free to correct my
and they do.
my nuclear dynamic.
Have drug problems as well.
Absolutely. We are not immune.
Fission is splitting or breaking up into parts.
And okay, so I was correct. Yeah.
And fusion is obviously.
Yeah, and it was the Fat Man and Little Boy or some shit like that were the two.
Oh, the name of the bombs.
The names of the bombs. I know
I don't remember the third bomb. What was the third bombs? Did the third bomb have a name?
We didn't have a third bomb.
The one that dropped in the ocean.
Oh, that blew up the Bikini Atoll? That was a hydrogen bomb.
No, the one they dropped one.
No.
I thought they dropped.
No, there was Hiroshima and then I think was Hiroshima second or first? Hiroshima was first. So I think Hiroshima was first and then Nagasaki. And I know the Enola Gay dropped Hiroshima.
Well, wait, wasn't there only 3 bombs or something? There was only
We didn't have 3.
Bombs.
We only had 2.
I thought we had 3.
No, we only had 2 made. And we threatened the Soviets. We were like, we have more of these. And we didn't.
I thought we had 3.
No, I don't think we did, dude. There's your history reference, everybody. So you'll always get more here at Podcast Recovery.
Yep.
All right. So difference between giving up and surrendering. Okay. Yeah.
I like it. I don't like the.
I don't like the way he went about it, but
yeah.
he rounded it back. He closed the loop.
He did close it.
He closed the loop right back at the end.
And you know what? It made sense.
It made sense. It does. So yeah. Giving up. Yeah. Don't give up. Never. Don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. Yeah. Surrender. Just. My way doesn't work. This shit sucks. I need to change. Somebody help me. There's lots of higher powers out there that will do that to you. Some are the court system, some are your network, some are the 12 steps, some are whatever. But yeah, surrendering our old ways and coming to a new life and lifestyle is just the beginning. That was weird. That was weird.
I'm in like this whole thing now with
he's going down the rabbit hole of atomic bombs. We and my viewers and listeners, we will continue. We'll just press on. We have to go forward in order to go back. All right. Principle 19. This is going to be a good one for you, Eric. Geographical cures don't work because no matter where you go, you will always be you when you get there.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I agree with that. And it's another short one, so I'll read it. You cannot establish recovery by merely changing your location. True. This is a mistake made by a lot of people who entertain the delusion that a change of scenery constitutes recovery. It makes no difference where you are if you are the same person wherever you go. Change must take place in bold print within. Very true. I have seen time after time people moving from one place to another expecting to have a better life after making some geographical changes, but shortly afterward they begin to gravitate towards the same crowd and begin the same patterns of behavior. Since nothing has changed other than the location, the downward spiral of addiction continues. 100% right. Baltimore isn't the problem. LA isn't the problem. New York, Chicago, wherever. That's not the problem. The problem is me. I am the problem. David, I did not have a drug problem. I had a David problem, and David, sex, food, gambling, all of those things are symptoms of my addiction, of my issue, of my core problems. I keep fixing my beard just because I think it looks funny in my reflection. Everybody I don't know. I'm working on my beard. I'm growing it.
I see that, yeah. You were right. Fat man, little boy.
Fat man and little boy. Nailed it. I knew my history. And was Hiroshima first? Or Nagasaki?
Nagasaki, I think, was first.
Nagasaki was first?
Or wait, no, you're right. Hiroshima
was first. Also, read the book Hiroshima by John Hershey. It is haunting.
Oh, wait. You want to know, have you ever seen Grave of the Fireflies?
No. Have you ever read 1,000 Paper Cranes?
I've heard of it, but
super sad.
They might be similar things. But
super
Grave
sad.
of the Fireflies is about the aftermath. It's by Studio Ghibli.
Okay.
So it's that guy.
So is Hiroshima was John. So John Hershey, he was the first Westerner in Hiroshima after the bomb was dropped, and he just documented all just the horror that was in there.
So if you want to cry for days, watch Grave of the Fireflies. I'm not going to give you any. It's about a sibling pair, a young boy and his little sister as they struggle to survive in post World War II Japan. Let's just say
that's got to be a horror show.
There's not a great.
That's
ending.
An actual horror show that took place. That's not even made up. That's just documenting historical fact.
Yeah, they don't have parents. It's just a young boy taking care of his little sister.
In the world of Mad Max.
And there's some weird fucking shit about radiation and.
Yeah, but that's a great point.
That movie made me cry, David.
Oh wow!
There's another movie that.
Then I'm gonna collapse.
There's another movie you should watch called Fog of War.
Ooh, I've heard of that one. I've heard of that one.
Maybe the most fucked up movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Probably not the most fucked up movie. But anyway, back to the geographical.
Probably
cures.
not. Real footage from Germany in World War II.
Oh God. Okay, yeah, that's probably horrendous. It's probably
they
horrendous.
Show fucking piles of Jewish women's hair in just piles.
No.
They fucking cut it like it was horsehair, dude.
We're reeling it back. I know they did. It was horrible. It was horrendous. Ooh, that's bad. Okay.
It's a Criterion film though, so you can watch it that way.
Oh, it's Criterion. Oh, then it's quality. Back to the geographical changes. Again, there's, many sayings about this. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Duh. Like if you don't change, going back to one of the earlier principles in this book, which was a fantastic one, in order to change your life, you have to change your lifestyle. And your lifestyle is not going from Chicago to Seattle. That's not okay. So you were shooting dope in Chicago and now you're smoking meth in Seattle. Like nothing changed. Nothing changed. Oh, the only thing that changed is, the climate slightly. You didn't change anything. None of your behaviors, your attitudes, your mindsets. If none of that changes, you're not going to move forward. You cannot back to Kung Fu Panda. If you always, if you back to Kung Fu Panda, if you don't do the thing, what's the exact quote? If you only do what you can, you'll never be more than what you are. Boom. You have to get outside of your comfort zone. Like you are not comfortable staying clean, then it's probably the right thing for you. Like you're probably breaking new ground of who you are as a human being to become the next better version of yourself. You're not going to become the next better version of yourself by just doing the same shit over and over and over again. That goes back to the square peg in the round hole. That goes back to just being willing to sacrifice who you were yesterday to who you're going to become tomorrow. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not going to have the ability to truly change and evolve as a human being and get a life of recovery.
Yeah.
So that was that.
I think I'm saying the wrong name of this.
So that was
documentary.
So 16 was 4. So we're on episode 5. All right. So principle 17, 18, 19. We knocked these ones out. These were quick. These were quick ones. And then principle 20. Ooh. Okay, so this does have so this principle is a Bible quote,
Ugh.
Whatever.
Go ahead. Give it to me.
We're going to read it anyway, because it is a good one. If the blind lead the blind, both will fall into the ditch. Apparently that is Luke chapter 6, verse 39.
What was it again?
If the blind lead the blind, both will fall into the ditch.
The blind lead the blind, both will fall into the ditch.
Very,
that's fair. It's called Night and Fog, not Night of Fog. It's a film.
Okay.
It is a very...
And I'll read this one out as well. Throughout my experience in helping people who are recovering from a life of substance abuse, I have encountered a good number of those who attempted to go from substance abuser to counselor overnight. That's true. During my observation, they were seen giving advice and handing out mandates for recovery to others who were chemically dependent. After only a short time beginning in recovery themselves, they usually do the most talking and the least amount of listening. I totally get this. But that goes back to following your sources. You need to know. You need to have a vetting process for who you're taking advice from. Like somebody, how long have you been clean? 2 weeks, dude. This is what you need to do. You need to do this.
Hey, a person with 1 day can help a person with 1 hour.
Absolutely. But should somebody who hasn't really worked steps or shown a history or a pattern of doing the right things necessarily be the best guide for somebody who has less than 2 weeks?
Maybe not.
That's all I'm suggesting. I'm not saying the person with 14 days can't help the person with 2 days. Absolutely they can help. I mean, that's how it started.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Bob and
Bill.
They were not brimming with tons of principles and patterns of behavior.
They just started
together. I mean, who got clean first?
I think Bill.
I think Bill was first.
Pretty sure.
Okay.
I mean, that's really how. I mean, how do you feel about his LSD trips? Later on.
It was the '60s, man.
They didn't really know what was going on.
He was an old man by that point.
Well, we talked about this on the podcast about psychedelics, and
we have, and if you're caught up in the '60s and '70s, and you're a 60, 70-year-old man who's been sober since the '30s, who am I to judge? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I don't know. Psychedelics are weird. They're weird drugs.
Yeah, and if you let's put ourselves in Bill W's shoes just for a minute. So you get clean in the 30s.
Yeah.
We'll say he was 30.
It was like, dude, it was prohibition and moonshine. Like,
It was
you know what I
prohibition
mean?
and it was prohibition and moonshine and rot gut and bathtub gin. Like that's what he was.
It was Al Capone.
Yeah,
and,
that's
like,
what
you know.
that's what he was drinking in the 20s and 30s. Okay, and then he gets sober. Let's say age 25 or 30.
I think he's older than that, but yeah.
We'll just I
I
don't
think
know.
he's like in his mid-30s.
Okay, we'll say 30. We'll say 30 just for round numbers.
I think he was 36, but we'll say 30.
Whatever. You get clean at age 30 in 1935 or whenever. And then 30 years of your life go by, you're sober. So then you're 60. You're 60 something and you're in the mid 60s and these wild kids, these hippies are talking about how it's going to expand your mind. And you have no concept of what you're doing. And then out of nowhere, after 30 years of sobriety, you take one of the most radical hallucinogenic drugs at the time.
Dude, Bill W. has a pretty solid picture, though, online of himself, you know? Like, he looks pretty, like...
I'm sure he does.
He looks great.
I'm sure he does.
Like
but like, who am I to judge? Okay, like, did he get? Am I in any position to say, oh, he gave up his recovery, he relapsed, or maybe he found a new evolution to his brain that I don't know. I don't have 30 years clean.
In 1934.
I've done acid before. He had never done acid before. Like, yeah, maybe he thought once he did acid, he was like, oh, I never want to drink again. This is the cure to everything. Maybe it was.
I mean, he wasn't
Maybe
always...
it was to him.
I mean,
And by that point, you're a 60, 70-year-old man doing acid for the first time, creating a manifesto about how this is going to solve addiction. Maybe it was.
It could.
Maybe it could. I don't know. I'm not here to judge Bill W. What he did was fantastic for all of us, and he laid a blueprint for something that has worked for countless millions. So that's the real important part here. But how I digressed from here from principle 20, which was the blind lead the blind. I get it. The blind leading the blind. Like, we deal with that at work sites all the time. Oh, do you know what's going on in this job? No. Do you know what's going on? No, but we're going to figure it out.
I just don't think you should, I don't know, maybe you might find, you never know where you're going to find help.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So that's like the one thing I would think about.
Oh, and we didn't do a thumbs up or thumbs down for geographical cures. That was a double thumbs up. And yeah, the blind leading the blind. I'd say, just you temper, just do your homework. Do your homework when it comes to recovery. Maybe not get a sponsor who has one more day clean than you. Maybe get somebody who's been doing it for some time. That's what I did.
Well, no one's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Let's just look at Bill W., for example. Mm-hmm. He had a 15-year affair with a woman, 18 years his junior.
Wow. We're not going to drag him through the mud right now.
No, I'm just saying that's crazy.
That is crazy.
You know what I mean? 15 years? That's
a long affair. That's a long affair.
It's a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an affair.
Yeah, that's a relationship. That's not an affair. I mean, I'd say after like a year, it's a relationship. Like if you're sneaking around for a year, like yeah, that's an affair. But we're digressing.
Wow. So he arranged in 1963 to have 10% of his royalties go to this woman and the rest go to his wife.
Huh. Interesting.
Huh. Maybe his wife knew,
Maybe. It was the 60s, man. It was the fucking 60s. I wasn't there. I heard it was cool. I don't know.
It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah,
like looking at it like that.
But I mean, that's the base.
He died of emphysema. I didn't know that either. He was a heavy smoker. Who
didn't die of emphysema back then? You went to a diner and they're like, oh, I'd like to order some pancakes. Do you want some cigarettes with those pancakes? Of course I want cigarettes with those pancakes. What are you asking me here? And apparently everybody back then talked like that in my head.
Oh, he stopped going to meetings because people kept asking him to speak. I can see that being a fucking problem. Yeah, like you can't.
He's the predecessor.
That sucks.
That's, I mean, that's kind of like, well, I'll make a Lord of the Rings reference. That'd be
holy shit! He used LSD with Huxley.
You used LSD with Aldous Huxley? That's crazy.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And he wrote to Carl Jung about the experience.
Wow.
What the fuck? That's so cool.
Yeah, he has a pretty cool life.
Wait, and he wrote to Leary as well. Both Leary
Timothy
and,
Leary, of course he did. Of course he did.
Oh, that's fascinating.
That's a fascinating, I encourage everybody to do research on recovery, because also, did you know this? The first fellowship-based recovery was actually here in Maryland.
The Oxford clubs?
No, it was the Washingtonians.
Oh, the Washingtonians.
The Washingtonians. But then that was during like the temperance movement, and then they started getting into a lot of politics and saying everybody should be sober. There needs to be, and like they were actually the Washingtonians and the Oxford clubs were huge in prohibition, and that's why AA adopted that as one of their traditions, is we stay autonomous.
Yes.
We do not fuck with foreign affairs, which is it's literally, and that goes back to the history of James Madison making the doctrine of isolation. They're like, no. Monroe, not Madison. Monroe. The Monroe Doctrine was, hey, we're autonomous and we're not fucking with foreign affairs, and that's exactly what AA did. They said, hey, we are autonomous and we're not getting into politics, we're not getting into business. With like all of these are outside issues that are not at our core beliefs of what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is one addict helping another is without parallel, and it can help you get clean and sober. One more fact.
Did you know?
I'm sure I didn't.
Here.
What?
Crazy fact.
What's a crazy fact?
Aldous Huxley, C.S. Lewis, and J.F. Kennedy all died on the same day.
Shut up, really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
The fucking Chronicles of Narnia.
JFK.
Aldous Huxley wrote A Brave New World, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wrote tons of great stuff.
Yeah, tons of great stuff. I just knew that was his big
he
one.
went out on a trip, too.
Aldous Huxley died while tripping.
100 UGs of LSD. He couldn't.
I don't know how much that is, but it sounds like a lot.
He couldn't speak because he had like laryngitis cancer, and he wrote out to his wife 100 UGs of LSD, and she gave it to him.
So apparently Aldous Huxley, JFK, and the guy who wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the fucking Wardrobe all died on the same day in history. Fascinating.
That's
also,
so
two
weird.
people who also died on the same day, which was 4th of July, was John Adams and Thomas Jefferson.
Really?
Yep, they died on 4th of July.
Did they both die on the same day?
At the exact same day. It was the 4th of July. I believe it was the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence.
I feel like Jefferson...
I believe it was 1825 when they both died together.
I mean, I like Jefferson, but I feel like Adams... I don't know as much about Adams.
I read a thing about him. He was one of the first made American millionaires.
Was he?
Yeah. John Adams is a fascinating guy. Anyway,
well, the first person to have a son.
We have gotten way off base, but here we have gotten way off base on this episode, and we're at 27 minutes, so we're gonna wrap it up here.
Yep.
So let me do a quick recap of ours. The reverse cycle of addiction, very confusing. Principle 17, thumb down.
Yeah.
Giving up versus surrendering, we loved it. 2 thumbs up. Geographical cures don't work because no matter where you go, you will always be you when you get there. Boom. Thumbs up. Don't geographical cure. It's not going to work. And the blind leading the blind will both fall into the ditch. Sound advice, but it's not perfect. But I get what he's saying. So yeah, do your research. Try and find people who have done this thing, have a track record of success, and do what they do, and ask them how they did it. And you'll probably get there as well. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. That was part 5.
Mm-hmm.
So we're down to our last 3 episodes of the 32 Principles of Recovery. And then I think we might go into the road to wellness, which is good for newcomers. This might be a little bit more difficult because this is kind of like a workbook.
I mean, we could do some.
We'll take a look at this one.
Take a look.
We'll take a look at it. But yep, that was episode 5 of the 32 Principles of Recovery. Everybody, thanks for joining us once again. Go to all our social media outlets. Like, share, subscribe. Please, if you want to come be a guest and talk about these 32 principles, come join us. We're going to have a great time. You don't have to be on camera. Only me. Only this.
More guests on...
Oh, yeah.
We'll have more guests.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But only this ugly mug has to show up on on video. So... keep that in mind. You will be anonymous. Like, share, subscribe, go to our merch, go to our Patreon, help us keep these mics on because we are self-supporting and they are expensive. So help us keep the mics on. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks for joining us, everybody, once again. But most importantly, everybody out there,
stay safe and stay clean.